The I was going to do something different. Usually, I have a whole field of information and photos and everything to go along with this, but the times that we're in, I think it's more important that we just get this information out. And also, too, I really want to open it up for questions early, so I can get the questions answered. We are in some, incredible times right now. This, when I do these talks, I just kind of want to at first say, this isn't about me. This is about, just being a touchstone, or a reminder of what is within everybody else. And so, I'm not here to be anybody's guru. I'm not here to for any kind of self-aggrandizement. I'm definitely not in it for the money, because that definitely it's not a money-making operation. But it's very important that come from. And what I want to say is that when you're in this field, where you're coming from is so important. It's just like first priority. If you're not coming from the heart, and if you're not coming from service to humanity and the earth and to turn this planet around, your come from is coming from somewhere else. And if you are coming from somewhere else, you can be easily manipulated. And that's been happening on a large scale. So it's very, very important to do the research on all of us, look into our history, our past, and look how we treat people off the pulpit, not, don't give your power way to, just because I'm on this screen and seem to be some kind of authority, don't give your power away to me or anybody else. Go within and see what this feels like to you. Very amounts with what's interesting is I'm privy to some extreme inside, information on the highest levels. And I'm working with people, the other people that are involved in the, the global reset and the redemption and all the other projects that are going on. And I've been hearing all kinds of information. In fact, it's finally the last signatures have been signed. And so things are going to start moving forward. But it's been a very long, arduous process. And we've been involved with people on the highest levels to clear the energy around the gold, around the monetary reset, around all of this stuff, to remove the blocks so it can go forward. So what we're dealing with right now on the planet is not, just this physical reality and what a lot of people are focused on because they have a body and a personality and that's their main focus. There's a multidimensional event going on. And I wanted to talk about that because it's very important to clear the unseen negative influences and the things that have been suppressing humanity for so long, and move them, out of the picture so we can flourish and we can go forward. So we've been under draconian law and been influenced by the Archon network for, even past Egyptian times. And that influence is so strong, it's so prevalent. And when you move up to the top of almost every institution, whether it be a religious institution or a business institution or the political institution, when you get to the top, it just gets darker and darker into ritual and demonic ritual. And they bring in reptilians and serpent beings and some negative grays, all kinds of things involved in this process of suppressing humanity. I have the documentation of all this, and I have the actually carvings in stone and everything else that talk about this, and to back up what I'm saying. But really the proof is in the pudding. Basically, if you just look at the world you're in right now, and you look at the wars and the condition of your environment and the suppression of free will and the loss of our basic individual rights, constitutional rights or Bill of Rights. I call them, universal law, the rights that go along with universal law. We're in a mess right now. It's an extreme mess. The good news is the higher dimensional beings are coming in to shift this energy. And so to understand how this works, we have to understand how it works. And so as you move up the vibration continuum, you move into higher frequencies and higher dimensions and beings on these other dimensions. And in the fourth dimension, on the lower fourth dimension, you have, you know, a lot of kind of regenerate ETs, you know, grays, reptilians, serpent beings, demonic type energies, some very dark things that, you know, that's where things go dark, you know, go bump in the night, that level. And then when you get up into the mid astral levels, you're into everyday, you know, Joe Blow that is died and is reincarnating and coming back, you know, and they're still stuck on the wheel. And nice folks, you know, but they're still kind of stuck. And then get in the higher astral levels, and you have teachers and guides and beings that are still stuck on the wheel because of some kind of cultural or religious separation that they have going, or belief system. So to get off the wheel, we have to move into unity consciousness, where we see the creator in all creation and everyone and everything, and we transcend all cultural and religious boundaries. And once we do that, we're off the wheel. We're in the fifth dimension and you know, sixth, seventh, eighth, up to 13th dimension, which I've experienced. I've gone to the 13th, and that's about as far as I've gone in, you know, while in the body, put it that way. When I had my near-death experience, I had a couple of them, and a couple white light experiences. I went to the source itself, and so I end up in the golden plane of bliss. And people call it, you know, it's just the place where you're in the, you know, the cradle, you know, in the arms of source, and it's so blissed out. There's so much love and joy and bliss and non-judgment, and it's such a secure feeling. There's no words to explain it. And then beyond that is the void, you know. So I was in the plane of bliss, which they call the seventh dimension, and hung out there for a while. And I still go back and forth quite a bit. But since that happened to me, I can go up and down the dimensions and experience the different beings and see what's happening, and assist others also in accessing these higher dimensions, which is what we do here at the ranch. We teach self-mastery, ambassador training classes, and a lot of things of that nature. But I want to get into this, what's happening. We have on the highest levels right now, we have, it's like the source itself. It says, okay, we're done with tyranny. You know, we've driven this in the ground. We've taken this as far as we can go, and now we're done. We're finished. And so on that level, you know, as you move down the vibrational continuum, we've got these like 13th dimensional beings that are here now, that have massive ships that have added their consciousness and energy to the mix. And as you go down the vibrational continuum, there's, you know, 12th, 11th, 9th dimensional beings. We work a lot with ninth dimensional Anunnaki beings that are actually benevolent, and they're here to right or wrong and shift the energies. There's a goddess energy by the name of Inha that is just beautiful. If you see her, a lot of people say she looks similar to like Cameron Diaz or something like that, but she actually does, although her head is different. She has the taller head that they you know, that's the difference. She's about 8'3". But I had an experience with her. She appeared to me and then told me what was going on their level, and that they're here to right or wrong, and they're here to clean up the fallen Anunnaki that have been creating a lot of the problems here on Earth. So we also have coming in, we have the, you know, Arcturians, we have the Andromedans, we have the Orion Council of Light, the Syrians, the feline beings. There's 3 different levels of those. There's humanoid cat beings, there's a very tall panther type being, and they're lion beings that are actually 17 feet tall, that are the protectors of the gods that are here now to help us with this shift. And if you're having trouble with negative influences, these are the guys you want to call in, because they, you know, they're 17 feet tall. Nothing's going to be messing with them. They're like 17-foot tall slice and dice, but they're very humorous. They're very funny and very protective, you know, of the light workers. And I'm glad they're here now, because dealing with some of these serpent beings and some of these other beings hasn't been fun. You know, it's been quite a challenge, but with them, the game is over. We've got, you know, the Pleiadians. I'm trying to think if I've missed anybody. The Orion Council of Light. They have massive ships here, the Orion Council of Light, and they went through the reptilian wars, and they're here to help liberate the Earth as well. So they're initiators, And one of the commanders, he's like an ambassador commander. His name's Hayog. He's in the 6th dimension, and they've got a massive ship monitoring the Earth right now in the energy grids. And they assured me, don't even worry about the saber rattling in the nuclear war, because nothing is going to be launched. If it does even get out of the silos, it's going to be taken down or out of the submarines or wherever it comes from. So that's not an option. So nuclear war is not an option on the planet. They're not going to allow it. They have their people here, their bases here, and there are limits, to what humanity can do in its evolutionary process. But anyway, it's like the highest dimension down, they're all joining their energies and coming in right now to the Earth to assist in the awakening and healing process. And the Earth is going through a frequency shift, and it's moving into a highly energized place in space where it's part of its evolutionary process to ascend to the next level and to heal. And so we're in that process right now. We're having a lot of assistance, in this birthing process. And so on one level, you've got all these immense beings, ascended masters, angelic beings. You've got the ultra-dimensionals all working on behalf of the source. And then on the lower levels, you've got, some of the astral beings, demonic type beings, and you've got even talk about them right now. Now they're trying to hit me and shut me up, which isn't going to happen. But you have those type of beings, the Greys, the serpent beings, and the reptilian beings, the Dracos, and those guys. They want to keep the enslavement process going. They want to keep the disease and wars going, and they feed off of this energy, and it holds their world together, basically. So that program is just being torn apart. The grid that supports that program is basically just being ripped apart right now. So the concept of tyranny, the consciousness of tyranny, the people who act on behalf of tyranny and want to enslave the masses and continue to suppress, humanity, are losing their grid. They're finding it very hard to operate. Even their physical bodies are actually failing, and because they're not frequency specific to the evolution of Earth and where the Earth is going. So anyway, what we are moving towards is universal law, which is very simple. It's universal peace, brother, sisterly love, individual prosperity and abundance for everybody, and freedom. That's the basic of universal law. It's written into the hearts of everyone here. And the problem is that the mass lack of integrity and the concept of separation and the ego and the lust for power and wealth at any expense on the highest levels of what we're dealing with right now. Your political system, I almost observe it as comedy relief, because it is so ridiculous. It's so transparent. And you can really see through who's who in this system and by the tactics they use and all the other nonsense going on. And I think it's very, very important, again, for people to do the research and see what your choices are in this system. And don't blindly just go by what they say. Look at what they do. Look at their organizations. Look how their organizations operate. Do your research, and don't do it with blinders on. Just do it with loving detachment. Don't have any outcome or agenda, and do the research. And you're going to be shocked. Some people that are waving banners, if they knew who the banner they were waving, the people that are on that banner, they would be shocked if they saw what was really going on behind the scenes and what's happened in the past. So I think it's time to stop electing, drug runners and murderers and pathological liars and people who lust for power and wealth at any expense. It's time to stop choosing them as leaders, because this is the type of government that you get. This is the type of civilization you get when you continue in this process. This system is broke. It's not functional. We need to change the whole system. Now, advanced civilizations have councils, and like the Pleiadian councils are mainly feminine. And so we really need to bring back the feminine energy, bring back the councils. I think a council grandmothers would probably be best suited for the earth right now to get it through. I don't want to bash the male, but enlightened male energy is awesome. It's balanced, but the patriarchal energy, the ego drive, within a lot of the male energy just needs to go away. It's dysfunctional. When you operate strictly out of the male, which is an objective energy, and it's the power to do things and make things happen and manifest, without connecting to the subjective side, the female side, to get your guidance and get your information, and it's a very dangerous way of operating, a planet or a civilization, because they're not connected to spirit. They're not connected to source. And the subjective side, the feminine energy, is subjective to spirit, to source, and to the higher dimensions and the guidance. They run from the heart and run on more on the emotions. Your emotional body is massive compared to your intellect. So the intellect is just a drop in the sea of consciousness. Your emotional body is massive. Your spiritual body is even more massive. It's even bigger. So it's very important that we all make our own personal connection with, God, creator, spirit, whatever you want to call that, and then move on in that direction, which is pretty much what seems to be this conference is about. There's so many things going on right now to talk about. I think the most important thing right now is that people learn to heal unseen negative influences before they even meditate. Or there's a lot of movement out there because all this stuff is being shoved up to the surface. It's important to establish your own, what we call BS meter, your own inner sensitivity, and to be able to sense who's who and the intentions of people. It doesn't matter what they say, tap into them and see what they feel like to you. What are they doing? When you're sensitive and you just look at some of these people, you just go, oh my God, that person needs to be recycled, or something, because they've fallen so far from spirit and far from, the earth that it's just, I don't know if it's some things, I'm not even sure if they're fixable. They have to just figure it out somewhere else. But we're in the middle of this process anyway. So there's this massive shift of energy we're going through. The sun is reacting to it. We're getting hit by gamma rays, which are seventh dimensional consciousness and energy, constantly from the universe, from different systems. The sun is throwing out coronal mass ejections and solar flares. We just missed a kill shot, just missed us recently, would have taken down everything. And that's been an ongoing event. And the only reason we're on this computer right now and I'm having this talk with you is because of benevolent ETs have actually blocked some of these kill shots. And they've also taken out some pretty massive meteors that were, extinction level events. So they've been working extensively on our behalf and working to guide us to move in the right direction, to move back to universal law. It's a tricky situation because they have to honor free will. And what I call sometimes is, the divine right to stupidity, which sounds like a judgment, but we do some pretty stupid things sometimes that are not in our highest and best good, or humanity and the earth's highest and best good. And when you look at it on a higher level, you go, oh my God, I can't believe they even chose that path, or even chose to do that. But, we have a saying in the Cherokee tradition, if it isn't good for everyone, it isn't good. And it's really that simple. We have to get back to the simplicity of things. So anyway, with the sun throwing off its major events and the gamma rays hitting the earth and the cosmic rays and everything else, NASA has charts that show this is just off the scale right now, the incoming energies. It's creating a change in frequencies. We're moving through those shifts, and we have to let go of the lower frequencies and the old baggage. We have to release the past, the old wounds and the traumas and even the old images of who we are, and let our bodies regenerate and move to, our whole and healthy self, which is on your etheric level. Your blue body is your perfect incarnation, your whole and healthy, perfect self. And the more you merge with that and create a communication with your physical body, the faster that you heal. And there are techniques to do that. There's actually technology to do that too, which we're working on here at the ranch and bringing this out. But there's magnetic light tables and things like that that create communication directly from your etheric body to your physical body. And there's also a lot of water technologies now with crystallized oxygen and other technologies that are amazing, as far as their healing properties. And there's other formulas as well. So we're working on those technologies, plasma technologies and everything. We're in the process of getting the funding we need to set these things up and start utilizing them. The ranch here is it's interesting. We've done a land patent on the ranch, and it's actually part of the OITC, which is the Office of the International Trust Control, which makes it a consulate. And with these layers of protection, we can do a lot of the things that other people can't do. But you've still got the Gestapo. You still have these guys that are lawless that will come in and do what they do, and run over every constitutional right, every God-given right you have. You have to realize, some of these people are lawless. And so even though you might have the law on your side, I had like 10 court cases just to keep this property here. And I've never seen anything like it. The blatant disregard for law, or the blatant disregard for, even their own laws was just incredible. But we actually were victorious, and we're still here. So obviously, by sticking to your guns and not shrinking, in fear, we can get through this stuff. It's not pretty. You have to go through a whole nest of pretty nasty energies to clear this energy out, especially when you go through the judicial system or other systems. But you can get through it, if you stick to your guns. There's an old saying, I love this old saying, one on the side of God is the majority. And so when you keep that connection going, and you're right, and you're not harming anybody, really, just hold to that process. Eventually, that truth is going to kind of take down the rest of the empire, the evil empire, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, looking at this process that we're undergoing, some people are aware of it to certain degrees or another. If you've done your spiritual homework, you've done your research, you're aware of the higher dimensional beings and what's happening and how they're functioning here and how they're assisting humanity and the earth. Some people are just feeling these shifts, and they're going through emotional outbursts. They're losing, relationships. They're, losing jobs, losing, things are happening. And their whole world is being turned upside down as they're going through this shift, because they're not in the flow. They're not aligned with their soul and the higher connections. And so, we see it all the time, and we're seeing the beast be exposed. And you can see exactly who it is. And we cannot run this civilization anymore with people who just lust for power and wealth at any expense. This uneven dispersal of wealth and the uneven dispersal of resources and things on the planet is going to be coming to an end. And we're highly involved in that process right now, is bringing that out to you. It's been a very long journey doing this, working with this. It's had a lot of blowback. We've had beings that you couldn't imagine coming here trying to shut things down and shut us, stop us from clearing the energy around the gold that's being shifted and all the other things that are being set up, to turn the planet around. I think eventually, this is a series of steps that we're going through to eventually get to a cashless society. And you can't have a cashless society until you have the right consciousness. And so, when you get everybody on a card, and controlled with a chip and whatever, then they can easily control you, by just, taking away your card. And it's amazing how they can, shut down your communication. They can shut down your job. They can kick you out of whatever you're doing right now. And they can use their resources and their vast network that's, based on the Archon network or the Draconian network to make your life miserable. The good news is that whole network is being torn apart right now. It's going down. It's not frequency specific. So those of you in this network, we love you, but it's time to change jobs and time to find that impeccable integrity within you and make a decision, because you're on the wrong side of the tracks right now, and things are happening. You better get on the right side of the fence, because things are going to be moving very quickly. There's an old saying, man plans and God laughs. Basically, your soul has an agenda, and it has things that needs to get done down here. It's going to have its way. Your ego, it has another plan. It's been programmed through social consciousness, and it has another plan. And don't be surprised if your plans start changing very rapidly, and your goals change, and you realize that you can't continue operating, from the level of the ego. You just can't do that. Now, I want to say about the ego, there's a healthy ego and there's an alter ego. And our problems are coming in the alter ego, because just to function on this level, we do need an ego. But the ego is a terrible master. It makes a great slave, but it's a terrible master. And so when you're letting the ego be your master, you're going to have serious consequences. Things are just, you go into a lot more unlimited reality when you give yourself over to your own higher consciousness and your higher dimensional selves, and then things start really happening. But there's so much to talk about on this level. But what I'm seeing right now is we're in the transition point right now. We're right at the peak of where everything's gonna shift right now and move into a much more abundant reality, a much more just and fair economic system. Eventually, that system is going to go through changes again, and I'm not even sure where this political system is going to go, but I know its time is very limited. If it doesn't get back on track in service to the people, and stop with the nonsense, that's going right now. If you knew how many billions and billions and billions of dollars, probably trillions of dollars, are spent just to spy on people and just to manipulate people, and to keep this program going, it's so ridiculous that we'd all be living abundantly if we just stopped and went back to universal law, and stopped trespassing on everybody else, and ended this mass uneven dispersal of wealth. The 1% game is over. It's done. So for one person to be sitting on trillions and trillions of dollars, to me, is not something to look up to. It's not somebody to worship, or, as I was saying, look up to. It's actually a pretty sick consciousness. It's a very low level consciousness. It's a consciousness of separation, and it's a glorified ego. And there's really, I have no respect for that at all, to be honest with you. I think the more you play the separation game, and the more you can be a part of this tyranny program, and the more you inflict pain and suffering on others, for for wealth, or for whatever else, power and wealth that you're going after, the lower you are on the ladder, And so right now we're having the bottom of the ladder run the civilization, which has to shift. So the good news is that consciousness is changing. The collective consciousness is being lifted. The old wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experience are being cleared out. And there's a mass effort right now. It's beyond imagined to liberate the planet and turn things around. And we're right in the middle of that process right now. It's been going on for quite some time, but we're right at the peak of this shift that's going to happen. And when this shift happens, it's game over. It's basically game over for tyranny. It's game over for the low level, reptilian grays and demonic energies and things like that. They have to go figure something else out, because they're not going to be frequency specific to the earth and her evolutionary process. I'm trying to think of what else. I wanted to talk a little bit about Australia and what happened there in Australia. When I went to Australia, what was amazing there is that when I met with the Aboriginal people, they've gone through so much pain and suffering. It's much like the Native American people on this side of the pond, but it's just unbelievable, and it's still going on. And they had a sorry day, which is a very sorry experience, and like words without deeds are dead. You can say I'm sorry, but okay, let's straighten things out. Let's turn things back around, which needs to happen, and that is going to happen with the global reset and other things. That's going to start happening. And I'm working with some of the elders over there to help this happen. But I thought it was interesting. Ulukai Brendan Murray, who is the king of the Raven tribe, when I met him, we had the blessing of just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ravens coming. And I have the video of that. I won't be able to show it today, but it's on our website, and it's on the ECETI Australia website too, if you want to check it out. But we had ships flying over us. We had everywhere we went, there was a major UFO activity. The nature was responding. We had usually like 2 eagles and just wall-to-wall ravens every time when we had a major event or something. So, and that's happening here at ECETI right now. We're having just hundreds of ravens show up. And the past few days, we've had our whole driveway just blocked, and the fence and everything by ravens. So and I actually recorded that. I took the camera down and recorded it, and they were talking and making all kinds of weird sounds I've never even heard before. But obviously they're messengers, and they're telling us, it's time. Things are shifting. You get ready. We're going to go through some very quick evolution here on the planet right now. And so with that happening, that was a sign. The masters appearing in the sky in China, it was the sign to the elders, that it's time to move forward. There's so many things happening. The ships are appearing, and they're beefing up. We're seeing them very low now. We have footage of these ships coming in, massive light ships, treetop level, and some actually below the treetops, coming in. So we have a lot of footage of that as well. It's on. It's like the game is on, and it's very important to realize that if you're here, at this webinar, you probably are those people, those ships. That's your family, and that's why you're interested in what's going on here. And I want to tell you a short little thing about the Earth is that what they talk about in the Aboriginal legends, it's all written in stone in Gosford glyphs and other places. And it shows the ships, the first ships coming. It shows like a man called the Denisovian man, which is like a Neanderthal man that was here, and they upgraded the genetics on this man. And we went from there. And then the second colonization was the Palladians that came, and they set up Atlantis and Lemuria. Those were Palladian colonies. And it talks about how the Egyptians lost the knowledge, and they came back to Australia to regain the knowledge. And they tried to steal the knowledge. Actually, one of the pharaohs, 2 pharaohs, tried to come back and steal the knowledge, and one got bitten by a snake and died, poisonous snake, and the ship crashed right offshore. So I actually got to hold the bones of the pharaoh that was buried there, and saw the hieroglyphs, and they've been deciphered. There's star glyphs and hieroglyphs, and they're very similar, and they've all been deciphered. And it tells the whole story of Earth, which is a different story. And actually began in Australia and then went over to Africa. So the beginning of everything was actually Australia. And the gold in Egypt is from Australia. It's from Ballarat. So when you go into the King Tut's gold and things like that, and you check out the gold of the pharaohs, that actually came from Australia. So everything is pointing that, Aboriginal people are the original people, and they have the ancient knowledge. And so by going there, I went and experienced this. I experienced, all of this firsthand. And so our story is different. We actually kind of a watered down version of the Anunnaki and the genetic tampering and things like that. So what I want to tell you right now is that basically you have the genes of the man that was developing here naturally, and then we have the genes of the star nations, or the genes of the gods, which is why a lot of the little grays are abducting us to get our genes, because we have a lot of it's inactive. The DNA that they call junk DNA is not junk DNA. It's being activated right now as we speak. And we're kicking that back on again. And so as that gets activated, you're going to start having more telepathic experiences. You're going to have a thing called direct knowing, where you just know things. You don't know why. You're going to be able to go forward or backward in time and see the past and see the future in your dream states. And there's another gene that's going to be kicking on here real soon called the salamander gene that lets you totally regenerate your body and things like that. So all these genes are not dead or junk DNA. They're just inactive, and they're being reactivated, as we speak. That's part of the process of this shift that's going on. There's so many levels to this, and there's so many things going on. The main thing, I think that the main advice I can give to people is to get out in nature and meditate, and at night when you go to bed, do clearings, clear any unseen negative influences, and ask the higher dimensional beings for guidance. Tell them you want to know your star family, who they are, and what it's all about. Speaking of star families, I wanted to go into that. There's a lot of us that were involved in the terraforming process, especially from the Pleiades, and that have reincarnated now. And you've seen what's happened to the earth. You know the original intent was to be in Eden, which would have evolved to its highest potential. And it got hijacked by baser realities, baser entities, reptilians, greys, and other energies, and the fallen Anunnaki. So it got hijacked, and you're fully aware of that. And you're going, what has happened to this planet? This is not what was supposed to happen here. Because inside the original intent, the original goal, and because you were part of that goal. And so that's being reactivated right now. And there's a lot of people that went through the reptilian wars, on Orion and things like that, and that's being activated right now. You had to liberate your planet, and now you've gained the wisdom from that experience. You're here to help liberate Earth. And that's what these inner promptings are happening, the dreams, the visions, the feelings, like, hey, it's time to clean this up, and go forward. And so a lot of us have had lifetimes even as feline beings and things of that nature. We have cats climbing all over us that are very attracted to us because, we have connections. And the feline beings are beautiful beings. They're very graceful. They're actually very sensuous when they move, because they are so graceful, and they're very loving. They're not demons. They're not, they're fifth dimensional beings. They're actually in what we would call Christ consciousness. They operate from that level of consciousness in the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensional energies. And they're here to assist as well. So a lot of us are having dreams and visions and feelings. And you're going, wait a second, I was one of these beings. If you go to our website, these beings are up there on the website. I mean, we've had masters appear here like Babaji and Yukswar, and we've had photographs of Kuan Yin appearing here, and Ezekiel and some of the other masters. We have photographs, of the ships. We have video of the ships coming in. All these things, the feline beings, we have actually drawings of them and what they look like. So we have some photographs of some of the sixth dimensional ones. All of that is on the website, and it might trigger, if you go to eseti.org, it might trigger something when you look at these photographs. So I suggest going there. And then the books that I've written, Anunnaki Return, covers all of this, the ancient history of Earth and where we're going, and the process and the cleanup process and what's happening. Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods, and the Ultimate Soul Journey all have that information in those books. And so I'm not trying to be a salesman up here. I'm just saying, if you're interested in that information, it's there. And it's on the website, as well as other DVDs and talks and videos. But, there's just so much going on. It's I don't even know where to start. I hope I've given enough information to people to really kickstart your own journey, or actually validate what you already know. I want to get into more of service mode right now, because it's all about serving the people and assisting people in their own awakening and healing process. So I'm not exactly sure how this system works, but if anybody has any questions they want to ask, I'd love to see what I can do. If I don't have an answer, I'll just make something up. No, I'm just kidding. But you got to keep your humor in this, because if you don't, you're gone. You gotta laugh at adversity, because you're going to be challenged. But I really would like to get into any questions that people have, and just go as long as we can with the question process.
Sure. If anyone has any questions, they could type it in the chat box on the right, and we can go ahead and ask James some questions. I know there's a lot of participants. There's no questions yet, James, but I'll interact for a minute. When you talk about energy from vortex centers, first question is, can you go into a little bit more, meaning how authentic are they? What are they, these vortex centers you spoke of, these energy vortex centers?
Well, the ranch here has a vortex that was here already when I got here. And we've done so much ceremonial for over 30 years here that it's very anchored in. And we've had so much contact here. It's very easy. The veils are very thin between worlds here. So it's very easy for one's own awakening healing process to happen. You can, if you're really aligned with the nature kingdom, and you might be seeing some of the little fairies and the gnomes and the other stuff running around here. They are here. They do exist. And we have a lot of Bigfoot activity up here. And we have a juvenile Bigfoot here that likes to mess with people, kind of shake your reality up a little bit. But he's totally harmless. All of them are. But we've had a juvenile one went up to Clyde Lewis, which has ground zero radio, and ran right up to him, skidded up to him, stopped, smiled, and then ran off. And he actually went and talked about his experience here. And so, we've had almost everybody who's who that's are legitimate in the business have come to the ranch and done their own investigation and have seen, the ships and have seen the paranormal activity here. So it's to me, it's not a matter of proving it to anybody. I don't want to trespass on anybody's reality. If they want to maintain their own present consciousness, that's fine with me. But we're just here for people that do want to expand in consciousness and get more into the multidimensional self.
I also want to say, James, that as an example, when I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, from the city, and it was my first time unplugging from the city, the concrete jungle, if you will, when I immediately got out of the car, I felt high from the vortexes that are in the Blue Ridge Mountains from the quartz crystals. There's like 26 major vortexes. And I felt so high. I looked at my girlfriend and I'm like, I feel high right now. And she's like, oh my God, I feel high too. And right away, we knew there was something special about this house. So I immediately took it. Now, throughout those 4 years of living there, I had at least half a dozen people that would walk in my house and stop in their tracks and say, oh my God, do you know how many beings are in your house right now? And although I couldn't see it, after you hear that time and time again, it was assurance to me that I knew there was something going on. So what I'm saying this for, the story is for the listeners out there, even though you may not be able to see that experience or hear or feel that experience, others are tuned in differently. We're all tuned a little different. So when you have these experiences over and over, like visiting your ranch, you're going to have little experiences like that. And even though you may not have it personally, your friend may have it, your family, and over and over and over again. So that portal, that vortex that was in my house, always would stop people in their tracks, and they'd be like, oh my God, you know how many beings are here? And I'd be like, no, but people have told me there's a lot, so there's plenty, come on in. And that was the vortex energy that was there. It's an opening, a gateway, like we see in all these ancient sites around the world, these big doors cut out of concrete that are, where do they go? How do people, how they walk in? Those are the vortexes, the portals, the entry, the gateways that we talk about. So that's very important for people to understand.
Yeah, we have several here. We have like a Pleiadian circle here where you walk into it, and if you are connected to the Pleiadians, that people will actually just start crying, as soon as they go into the vortex. We have actually this next weekend, we have Tashina coming out, and she lives on the Hopi Reservation, and she's going to do another galactic medicine wheel. And each part of the wheel has a different group, like the Andromedans, the Arcturians, the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Orion Council of Light. And when you walk into that sector of this wheel, it's a very large galactic medicine wheel, you actually feel those energies. And so you can walk somebody through the medicine wheel, and when they hit their star family, the ones they're most connected to, they have a profound experience. And so you can utilize the energy that's already here and create your own vortex, or you know, you can, it's like the ground, you can psychometrize the energy into the ground there through ceremony. You can, your whole body can be a vortex. You can be your own vortex. And so it's a matter of just doing the practices. But there's several vortexes here right on the ranch, and the whole ranch is a vortex, but there's other smaller vortexes. And, you know, there's certain places here that you just don't want to even park your car because your battery will die. And so there are areas here that you know, we just leave alone. You know, you don't park there, you don't live there, it's better not to you know, you know, park your car or hang out in that area.
Another question came in, James. Someone would like to come out and visit the ranch. What does one do that's never been there? What's the procedure? Where can someone find information? What can someone expect?
Yeah, mainly just go to the website, and you can, it has all the information there on how to come. We have a one called Private Invitation, eseti.com, that you can go to as well, that has even more information. But you know, people just need to give us a call or send us an email and say, tell us when you want to come out, and also look at all the events that we have going on here. If they want to participate in some of these events, they can come out and participate in the events. But such as this next weekend with Tashin, I'm going to be doing like an ambassador training in self-mastery at the same time while Tashin is here. We're working together, and it's going to be an amazing event this weekend. But we have those all through the summer. We have that. Right now, we're actually gearing down because I'm going to be traveling here right after this event. I'll be going to the Ethan Fox's conference there in Detroit. And so, and then from there, I'm going to Mexico and then going to Hawaii and doing some workshops there and things. And so we're gearing down right now. We're basically closing up and winterizing. It's just too hard to stay open up here in winter. You know, we've had winters with 12 feet of snow up here, so it's kind of rough. But it's funny, in the summertime it's beautiful up here. Sometimes we have like 100-degree weather, you know, days, and we've got ponds and rivers and all kinds of things. So yeah, best way to just check out the website, and all the information's on there.
Another question, James. Can you offer a few specific information or ways to protect oneself from negative fields, toxicity, etc., like how to raise your own vibration, how to protect yourself against negative energies?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of levels. You probably noticed, like when you saw this bottle right here, this is like oxygen water that I'm drinking, but it also has MSM in it. It has vitamin C and colloidal silver and a few other things in it that I put in it to drink. And I'm just really constantly detoxing, you know, to take care of the chemtrails. And the chemtrails are just crazy. I mean, it's off the scale right now what they're doing. And we've got to put an end to that. We have to rise up and just say enough's enough. That's something that just has to be done right away. But mainly get the heavy metals out of your system. Do as much detoxing as you can. Try to eat very close to the earth, as natural as you can on that level. Emotional, it's really good to find some process-oriented therapies. We do a lot of them here. Everything from holotropic breath work to transpersonal release sessions and other counseling modalities to clear out, you know, any old wounds and traumas or wrong conclusions from past experience. Because that's, you know, it's baggage, it's holding you down. You know, we need to clear that out. And on a spiritual level, it's very important to make your own personal connection with, you know, God, creator, spirit, whatever name you want to give it, and utilize that. It's also very important to, you know, a lot of times find out who your own main teacher and guide is and work very closely with them. And then also gain some tools to heal unseen negative influences, because you'll call on that guide to help you, and work with the fifth dimension on up is what you want to do. But it's very, very important to go ahead and utilize the guides and the other stuff, you know, to do the clearing. And we have that on the website. We have, or if you email us, we'll send you the techniques on healing unseen negative influences.
Hey, James?
And that rolls into, I hear someone calling your name, and that rolls into another question that someone has, which is Could you speak about the role of angels in advancing this planet? What is their role, sort of say?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
What's the role of angels that they have in advancing the planet? What's their role, sort of say? Why are they here? How do they play into this whole ascension that's happening on the planet right now?
Yeah. Well, it's very important to realize that the archangels, or the Andromedans, which are mythologically called archangels, they have magnetized light bodies, and they're 8 to 10 foot tall, and they live in a holographic universe. And they have huge fields of energy around them. And when they come in, it's like a battery, the fields. When they come in, they feather back and they look like wings, but they don't actually have wings. They're depicted as having wings, but they're extremely advanced beings. And they're in the seventh dimensional consciousness realm. But a lot of people are working with them, and they're extremely helpful in healing unseen negative influences and guidance and things of that nature. Um, some of the angels have never had a physical incarnation, so they can't really help us a lot. It's very hard, for them to help us, because they just haven't had this experience. There's an old saying that the bravest of angels are the ones that are here on earth right now to walk this walk. It's a very challenging, walk down here. But it's better to work with beings that have actually had physical incarnations, the ascended masters and things like that, because they walked through the earth, and they mastered their emotions, they mastered free will, and they have done it. They've done the walk. So I always suggest work with the ascended masters who've actually done the work, the higher dimensional beings, or some of these other advanced civilizations that have already transcended war and disease and have all the technology we need to clean up the planet. It's very important to work with them as well.
Another question, if you could just quickly repeat the website. We had some newcomers, your website. And second part is, and talking about Andromedans, there's one, Leia. What is the physical link of Leia, and is she an archangel?
Yeah, Leia's an Andromedan, and she is should be referred to as an archangel if you use that terminology. Very beautiful being. She's 8 to 10. She's about 8 foot. I'm not sure. She's over 8 foot tall. Beautiful being. When you see these beings, they just emanate so much love and power and wisdom that you just fall in love with them immediately. And we work a lot with her and several others. There's quite a few Andromedans we work with here at the ranch. There's like Alpha Jadar is one that comes in, and he merged with the feminine energy called by the name of Aya. And Alpha Jadar, he's like a warrior. He's like a very powerful being, and he had to merge with the feminine energy just so he could work with people here on the planet to kind of temper his energy. But there's quite a few beings out there that are assisting right now. As I said before, you've got the Palladians, you've got the Orion Council of Light, you've got the Syrians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, and a lot of other beings that I can't even go into. We have such a huge list of beings that are coming in to assist humanity right now.
And also, could you repeat your website information? We had some newcomers come in.
You go to easteti.org, eceti.org is the best way to connect with us.
Okay, and also, you want to say there's some upcoming events that are going on?
Yeah, I'll be at the Awakening Power in Detroit coming up in the 1st of November. Ethan Fox, if you just type in Ethan Fox, you can get all the information on that coming up. And then this coming next weekend, the 27th, we have Tashina coming up, and she's with the Hopi Reservation, and she's a wisdom keeper. She's actually at Standing Rock. I've been standing up, there at Standing Rock, and she's going to give an update on all that. But amazing woman. So we'll be doing that work that this coming weekend.
Okay, excellent. And also, James, before you go, what are some ways you could recommend to the participants and people listening out there to have contact for people that have not had contact, for those people that have not experienced something, a UFO sighting? I know you can obviously visit your ranch, but what are some tricks of the trade, if you will, some tools people can do to sort of invite that experience into their lives if they haven't had one?
Well, basically, the first thing we need to do is clean up our consciousness. And as in our process, as we ascend, or go through that process on the path to enlightenment, they're going to find you. They'll contact you when you reach a certain level of consciousness. It's very important to learn to heal unseen negative influences. And we have a saying here: just because you're dead doesn't mean you're enlightened, and just because you're an ET doesn't mean you're benevolent. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the field out there that are saying, "Hey, just open wide and let anything in. There are no negative ETs," and that's gross negligence to do that. It's just very not a good idea. We need to use discernment. We need to learn how to heal unseen negative influences, maintain our own self authority. No matter what we do, and that's basically what we teach here at the ranch.
Got it. Excellent. And James, what do you see? I know it's a broad question, but you said that there's a lot of change coming, and for newcomers and also people like myself that awakened 7, 8 years ago, what do you see coming over the next 5 years? I mean, what do you see disclosure happening? Do you see really, ships coming? Do you see something actually breaking ground where it's going to be public? It's going to be, public to everyone that ETs are here and they are our star family. Do you see that happening over the next 5 years? Do you see that movement towards disclosure from the people?
Actually, I see it much faster. I mean, it's going to be happening very quickly. We're going to see a total shift in the economic, program here. Intense social and economic changes for the good. They're going to be moving very quickly. The old program is going to be collapsing, and there's going to be a new one coming in to take its place, which is I've been working very intensely on that. Also too, we are going to join the star nations, and we're going to see them in the skies more and more. It's already escalating. That's going to really help shift this. The real disclosure is coming, from the skies, basically. And to me, trying to prove ETs are real or exist, or the cover up is dead. I mean, they did a Times CNN poll, and over 86% of the people, this was years ago, said ETs are real and the government's covering it up. And lately, they just had a poll in Texas after the flyovers there. 99% of the people said, UFOs are real, and there's a cover up. So, the cover up's over, and to continue with it is embarrassing. And they used to try to embarrass people talking about UFOs, and now if you try to debunk the UFOs, it's embarrassing for you. It's totally turned full circle. So when I see the debunkers come on, I've debunked the debunkers so many times that they look so bad in the end that it's embarrassing for them now.
I